First contact and cultural shock. The vast expanse of space had always held mysteries, but none quite as intriguing as the day humanity made first contact. It was a crisp autumn morning when the massive alien vessel appeared in Earth's orbit, its sleek design unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived. World leaders scrambled to organize a response, but before they could, a message was broadcast globally in perfect English. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Zarkonian Collective, and we come in peace. Within hours, a delegation of Zarkonians had landed outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. They were tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and large owlish eyes. Their ambassador, Xelfor, addressed the hastily assembled group of world leaders and media. We have observed your species for many of your Earth years, Xelfor began, his voice melodious and soothing. We believe the time has come to welcome you into the galactic community. The news spread like wildfire across the globe. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and more importantly, we had been deemed worthy of joining an interstellar civilization. The following weeks were a whirlwind of cultural exchange, technological demonstrations, and diplomatic negotiations. It was during one of these exchanges that the Zarkonians first encountered something that would change the course of galactic history: human weapons. Lena Rodriguez, a former U.S. Marine turned diplomat, was giving a tour of a military museum to a group of Zarkonian scientists. As they passed displays of swords, bows, and early firearms, the aliens showed polite interest. But when they reached the modern weapons section, their reaction was unprecedented. What are these devices?" asked Zixara, the lead Zarkonian scientist, her large eyes wide with a mixture of fascination and horror. Lena picked up an assault rifle from a display case. "This is an M4 carbine, a standard-issue weapon for many of our military forces." The Zarkonians recoiled as if they'd been struck. Zixara's voice trembled as she spoke. You create tools specifically for harming others of your own species." Lena, taken aback by their reaction, struggled to find the right words. "Well, yes. Throughout our history, we've had conflicts between nations and ideologies. These weapons are for defense and, when necessary, warfare." The Zarkonians huddled together, speaking rapidly in their native language. Lena caught snippets of their conversation through her universal translator. Barbaric, dangerous, unpredictable. Finally, Zixara turned back to Lena. "We apologize for our reaction, but you must understand. In our society, the very concept of creating tools designed to harm sentient beings is abhorrent. We have eliminated all forms of violence from our culture thousands of years ago." Lena nodded slowly, a creeping realization dawning on her. "I see. And in the galactic community, are there no weapons, no means of defense?" Zixara shook her head. "There has been no need. All species we have encountered have long since moved past such primitive instincts. We use technology for creation, exploration, and the betterment of all." As they continued the tour, Lena's mind raced. She began to see humanity through the Zarkonians' eyes, a young, volatile species with the capacity for great violence. But she also understood something the aliens didn't: the complexity of human nature, the duality of creation and destruction that had driven our rapid advancement. That evening, Lena met with the human diplomatic team. "We have a problem," she announced, recounting the day's events. Admiral Chen, the military liaison, leaned forward. "So you're telling me that not only do these aliens not have weapons, but they're horrified by the very concept?" Lena nodded. "It seems the entire galactic community has evolved beyond the need for weapons. They view us as, well, savages." Dr. Emika Okafor, a renowned anthropologist, chimed in. "This presents a unique challenge. Our history, our art, even our idioms are steeped in the language of conflict. How do we present ourselves to a galactic community that has no frame of reference for this aspect of our culture?" The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries. First contact, joining a galactic civilization. But now that it was here, we were faced with a fundamental incompatibility that threatened to derail everything. "We need to be careful," said Ambassador Liu, her voice steady. "If we're perceived as too dangerous, we might be isolated, quarantined even. But we can't deny our history or our nature." Lena stood up, pacing the room. "There's another angle we need to consider," she said. "A galaxy without weapons, without defenses, it's vulnerable. What if there are threats out there that the Zarkonians and their allies haven't encountered yet?" Admiral Chen nodded grimly. "We've fought our share of wars, but we've also learned to defend ourselves against unimaginable threats. That knowledge, that preparedness, it could be vital." As the meeting continued late into the night, a plan began to form. Humanity would need to walk a delicate line, demonstrating our capacity for peace and cooperation, while also making our new galactic neighbors understand the value of preparedness. Little did they know, events were already in motion that would put humanity's unique skills to the test. Far beyond the edges of known space, an ancient and terrifying force was stirring, one that would soon threaten the very existence of the peaceful galactic community. As dawn broke over New York, Lena stood at the window of the conference room, watching the Zarkonian ship shimmer in the early morning light. She couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's love affair with weapons, a source of shame just hours ago, might soon prove to be the galaxy's salvation. The journey ahead would be challenging, filled with diplomatic minefields and cultural clashes. But as she watched the sun rise on this new era of human history, Lena felt a spark of hope. Perhaps in teaching the galaxy about defense, humanity would finally find its place among the stars. Little did she know, the true test of humanity's worth and the value of our unique perspective was just beginning. The galactic threat emerges. Months passed since first contact, and humanity's integration into the galactic community progressed with cautious optimism. Earth had become a hub of cultural exchange, with alien tourists flocking to experience our diverse planet firsthand. Meanwhile, human diplomats and scientists ventured into the cosmos, eager to learn from advanced civilizations. On the Zarkonian homeworld of Zarkon Prime, Lena Rodriguez found herself in a position she never imagined. Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. The council chambers were a marvel of alien architecture, a massive geodesic dome that seemed to float above the planet's crystalline surface. As Lena took her seat among representatives from 100 different species, she couldn't help but feel a mixture of pride and trepidation. Humanity had come so far, yet the shadow of our violent nature still loomed large in the minds of many council members. The session began with routine matters, trade agreements, scientific cooperation, and the ongoing debate about allowing humans access to advanced faster-than-light technology. But halfway through the proceedings, alarms blared throughout the chamber. A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the room, showing a distant sector of the galaxy. Red warning indicators flashed around a cluster of stars. High Counselor Vexolia, a towering, ethereal being with flowing tendrils of light for hair, addressed the chamber. "We have received a distress signal from the Proxima cluster. Several colonies have gone dark, and the few transmissions we've intercepted are disturbing." The hologram zoomed in on a planet, and Lena felt her blood run cold. The once thriving colony was in ruins. Strange, biomechanical structures covered the surface, pulsing with an eerie, otherworldly energy. "What are we looking at?" Lena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Vexolia's luminous eyes dimmed. We do not know. In all our recorded history, we have never encountered anything like this." Footage from the ground played, showing panicked colonists fleeing from swarms of insectoid creatures. These weren't simple animals. They moved with terrifying coordination, using advanced energy weapons to herd the colonists towards the pulsing structures. The council erupted into chaos. Species that had known only peace for millennia were faced with a threat they couldn't comprehend. Calls for evacuation and isolation of the affected sector rang out. Lena stood, her heart pounding. High Counselor, with all due respect, evacuation isn't enough. Whatever these things are, they're spreading. We need to mount a defense. A murmur of shock rippled through the chamber. The Phylixian representative, a being of pure energy contained within a hovering orb, spoke up. Defense? You mean to fight, to kill? We have no concept of such actions, no means to carry them out. Humanity does, Lena said, her voice steadied despite the weight of the moment. We've spent our history preparing for threats we couldn't imagine. We have the knowledge, the technology, and the will to face this head-on. High Counselor Vex'ahlia studied Lena intently. You propose that we allow humans to militarize, to bring weapons into our peaceful galaxy. Lena nodded. I know how this sounds, especially coming from us. But look at that footage again. Those aren't mindless animals. They're using advanced technology, coordinating their attacks. This is an invasion, and it won't stop at the Proxima cluster. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Vex'ahlia conferred quietly with other senior council members before addressing Lena again. Ambassador Rodriguez, your words carry weight, but we cannot simply hand over the defense of our civilization to a species we barely know. If humanity wishes to help, you must prove yourselves. What do you propose? Lena asked. A joint mission, Vex'ahlia replied. We will assemble a team. The brightest minds from across the galaxy, including the contingent of humans. You will travel to the edge of the affected zone, gather intelligence, and if possible, make contact with these invaders. Lena felt a mix of relief and apprehension. It wasn't the full-scale response she'd hoped for, but it was a start. I accept on behalf of humanity. When do we leave? Immediately, Vex'ahlia said. Time is of the essence. As the council session adjourned, Lena rushed to contact Earth. She needed a team, and fast. Scientists, diplomats, and yes, soldiers. Humanity's moment had arrived, but the stakes were higher than anyone could have imagined. Across the galaxy, on a planet at the edge of the Proxima cluster, a lone survivor huddled in the ruins of a research facility. Dr. Aisha Patel, a human xenobiologist who had been studying local flora, watched in horror as the alien swarms swept across the landscape. She had managed to establish a neural link with the invaders' hive mind, a desperate gambit that now filled her thoughts with terrifying visions. These weren't simple conquerors. They were a force of cosmic balance, culling civilizations they deemed unworthy. As she processed the alien thoughts, one thing became clear. The invaders feared something, a prophecy of sorts. They spoke of warriors born of strife, a species tempered by conflict that would one day rise to challenge them. With shaking hands, Aisha activated her emergency beacon. She had to warn the others. Humanity wasn't the galactic community's problem. We were its last, best hope. Back on Earth, military bases buzzed with activity. For the first time in decades, there was a call to arms that united every nation. Mothballed weapons were dusted off, and new technologies were rushed into production. In a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Chen stood before a group of Earth's finest soldiers. Men and women, you've been chosen for a mission unlike any in human history. You're not just representing your countries or even your planet. You're standing up for life itself. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. Make no mistake, we're facing an enemy beyond our comprehension. But that's nothing new for humanity. We've always punched above our weight, defied the odds. And now we'll do it on a galactic scale. As preparations continued on Earth, Lena found herself aboard the Zarkonian ship Starweaver, en route to the fringes of known space. The vessel hummed with nervous energy as the diverse crew came to terms with the monumental task ahead. Lena stood on the observation deck, watching stars streak by. A Zarkonian scientist, Zixera, the same one she'd met in the military museum months ago, joined her. I must admit, Zixera said softly, I'm grateful for your species' expertise now, but I fear what this conflict might do to our peaceful society. Lena turned to her, expression solemn. Peace isn't just the absence of conflict, Zixera. It's the willingness to stand up for what's right, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That's what humanity is bringing to the galaxy. As the Starweaver raced towards its rendezvous with destiny, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Humanity had spent its history divided, fighting amongst ourselves. Now, faced with a threat to all life, we would finally have the chance to show the galaxy what humans could really do when we stood united. The true test awaited at the edge of known space, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Humans joined the fight. The Starweaver dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Proxima Cluster, a region of space now eerily devoid of the usual interstellar chatter. Lena stood on the bridge, surrounded by a mix of human and alien crew members, all tense with anticipation. "Scanning the sector," announced Zixera, her slender fingers dancing over holographic controls. "No signs of active colonies or... Wait, I'm detecting a faint signal. It's one of ours, an emergency beacon." Admiral Chen, who had joined the mission as Earth's military liaison, leaned forward. "Can you pinpoint the location?" Zixera nodded, bringing up a holographic map of a nearby planet. "It's coming from here, a research outpost on Proxima IV." Lena's heart raced. "We need to investigate. It could be survivors, or at least information about what we're facing." The ship's captain, a crystalline being named Caxlor, hesitated. "Ambassador Rodriguez, need I remind you that this is primarily a reconnaissance mission? We're not equipped for combat or rescue operations." Lena turned to face the captain, her expression resolute. "With all due respect, Captain, we can't ignore a call for help. Besides, this might be our best chance to gather intel on the enemy." After a tense moment, Caxlor nodded. "Very well. Prepare a landing party." As they descended towards Proxima IV in a shuttle, Lena couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. It reminded her of countless missions during her time as a Marine. The tension before touchdown, the unknown dangers waiting below. But this time, the stakes were infinitely higher. The shuttle landed in a clearing near the source of the beacon. The planet's surface was a nightmarish landscape of twisted metal and pulsing organic structures. The air was thick with an acrid, metallic smell. Lena led the team out, pulse rifle at the ready. Alongside her were Admiral Chen, Zixera, and a handful of human and alien specialists. The aliens looked uncomfortable with the weapons they'd been hastily trained to use. "Stay alert," Lena warned. "We don't know what." A piercing shriek cut through the air. From the ruins of the research facility, a swarm of insectoid creatures emerged, their carapaces gleaming with an unnatural metallic sheen. "Contact," Chen shouted, opening fire. The aliens in their group hesitated, unused to violence, but quickly found their resolve as the swarm approached. The battle was chaotic and intense. The invaders moved with uncanny speed and coordination, but the human contingent's combat experience proved invaluable. They organized a defensive perimeter, covering the scientists as they worked to pinpoint the beacon's exact location. As they fought their way through the facility, Lena couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The invaders' attacks seemed almost probing, as if they were testing the group's capabilities rather than going for the kill. Finally, they'd reached the source of the signal, a sealed laboratory deep within the complex. As Zixera worked to bypass the security protocols, Lena and Chen kept watch. "You feel it too, don't you?" Chen murmured. "This is too easy." Lena nodded grimly. "They're hurting us. But why?" The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a scene of carnage within. But amidst the destruction, a single stasis pod remained active. Inside was an unconscious human woman. "Dr. Aisha Patel," Zixera read from the pod's display. "She's alive, but her neural patterns are strange." As they moved to extract Dr. Patel, a massive tremor shook the facility. Outside, a colossal shape blotted out the sky. A living ship, an amalgamation of organic and mechanical parts. A booming, multi-tone voice filled their minds. At last, the PROPHCY and Fowldies. The warriors BRN of strife ADV arrived. Lena's head spun as alien images flooded her consciousness. Countless worlds consumed, civilizations rising and falling, a cosmic cycle of creation and destruction. Through the mental onslaught, she managed to shout, "Fall back to the shuttle. We need to get out of here." The team fought their way back, carrying the stasis pod. As they lifted off, the massive alien ship made no move to stop them. Instead, it seemed almost satisfied. Back aboard the Starweaver, Dr. Patel was rushed to medical bay. As soon as she regained consciousness, she grabbed Lena's arm, her eyes wild. "You don't understand. They let us go. This is all part of their plan." Over the next few hours, Dr. Patel shared what she had learned through her neural link with the invaders. They called themselves the Harvesters, an ancient race that saw itself as the gardeners of the cosmos. They periodically culled advanced civilizations, believing that conflict and struggle were necessary for the universe's evolution. "But they fear us," Patel explained, her voice hoarse. "Humanity. We're something they've never encountered before, a species that has known war but strives for peace. They believe we're the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy, the only force capable of breaking their cycle." The implications were staggering. Humanity, long seen as the violent newcomers to the galactic stage, might be the key to saving it. As the Starweaver raced back to Zarkon Prime, Lena found herself in a heated debate with the ship's diverse crew. Many were horrified by the violence they'd witnessed, questioning whether fighting fire with fire was the answer. "I understand your concerns," Lena addressed the group. "But look at what we accomplished down there. Humans, Zarkonians, and others, working together, combining our strengths. That's what will defeat the Harvesters, not just our weapons, but our unity." Slowly, grudgingly, even the most pacifistic crew members began to see her point. The galaxy had known peace for so long that it had forgotten how to defend that peace when threatened. As they approached Zarkon Prime, a transmission came through from Earth. The holographic image of the UN Secretary-General appeared, her expression grave. "Ambassador Rodriguez, we've received your report. Earth stands ready to commit all necessary resources to this fight, but we need the full cooperation of the Galactic Council. Can you convince them?" Lena took a deep breath, feeling the weight of two civilizations on her shoulders. "I'll do whatever it takes, Madam Secretary. The galaxy needs to understand. This isn't just humanity's fight. It's a fight for the right of all species to choose their own path, free from the Harvesters' twisted idea of balance." As Zarkon Prime grew larger in the view screen, Lena steeled herself for the challenge ahead. She had to convince a galaxy of pacifists to take up arms, to awaken the warrior spirit that lay dormant in all sentient beings. The fate of the cosmos would be decided not just by humanity's strength, but by our ability to unite the galaxy under a common cause. As the Starweaver docked at the Galactic Council's orbital station, Lena knew that the real battle, the battle for hearts and minds, was just beginning. The battle for Earth. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in its long history. The usually serene chamber crackled with tension as Lena stood before the assembled representatives, her voice steady as she recounted the mission to Proxima IV and the chilling revelations about the Harvesters. "We face an enemy that sees our very existence as part of some cosmic plan," Lena concluded. "But I say we write our own destiny. Humanity stands ready to share our knowledge, our technology, and yes, our capacity for warfare. Not to dominate, but to defend. We can teach you to fight, but more importantly, we can show you what's worth fighting for." The chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices. Some counselors called for immediate action, while others advocated for caution or even appeasement. High Counselor Vexalia raised her hands, bringing a hush to the room. Ambassador Rodriguez speaks truth, Vexolia said, her voice resonating with ancient wisdom. We have enjoyed millennia of peace, but at what cost? Have we become complacent, unable to stand against true evil when it arises? Perhaps it is time we learned from our human friends. The vote that followed was close, but in the end, the Council agreed to a galaxy-wide mobilization. Humanity would take the lead in preparing the various species for the coming conflict. Over the next few months, the galaxy transformed. Human military advisors spread across countless worlds, teaching the art of warfare to beings who had never known violence. Shipyards that once produced exploration vessels now churned out battlecruisers. Scientists from 100 species collaborated on weapon systems capable of challenging the Harvester's advanced technology. But even as the galaxy armed itself, the Harvesters were not idle. Reports came in of more systems going dark, of vast fleets of living ships moving through the cosmos. It was clear they were building towards something big. Lina found herself at the center of it all, shuttling between Earth and alien worlds, coordinating strategies and mediating disputes. The stress was immense, but she drew strength from the unlikely alliances forming around her. Species that had been suspicious of each other for eons now stood shoulder to shoulder, united against a common threat. Then, 6 months after the encounter at Proxima IV, the Harvester Armada appeared on the edge of the Sol system. Their target was clear: Earth, the homeworld of the warriors born of strife. Admiral Chen's voice was grim as he addressed the hastily assembled War Council. They've bypassed our outer system defenses. We estimate less than 48 hours before they reach Earth orbit. Lina looked around the room at the mix of human and alien faces. This is it. Everything we've prepared for. We can't let Earth fall, not just for humanity's sake, but for every species that calls this galaxy home. The plan they formulated was audacious. While Earth's defenses would engage the main Harvester fleet, a strike team led by Lina would infiltrate the Harvester command ship. Dr. Patel's research had identified a potential weakness, a central node that coordinated the Harvester's Heigmund. If they could destroy it, the entire invasion force might be thrown into disarray. As the hours ticked down, Lina found herself in the White House Rose Garden, stolen a moment of quiet before the storm. Zixera approached, looking uncomfortable in the combat suit she now wore. I never imagined I would face battle, the Zarkonian scientist said softly. But I find myself grateful for what you've taught us. Not just about fighting, but about standing up for what's right. Lina managed a smile. That's the real strength of humanity, Zixera. Not our weapons, but our conviction. Our ability to face impossible odds and say, not today. The attack, when it came, was more ferocious than anyone had anticipated. The skies above Earth blazed with weapons fire as human and alien ships clashed with the Harvester Armada. On the ground, people huddled in shelters, watching the battle unfold on view screens, praying for salvation. Lina's strike team slipped through the chaos in a stealth ship of Zarkonian design. As they approached the massive Harvester command ship, Lina felt a familiar calm settle over her. This was what humans were made for, not just the fighting, but the protecting. All right, team, she said, checking her weapon one last time. Let's remind these cosmic gardeners that sometimes the roses have thorns. They'd breached the Harvester ship's organic hull, fighting their way through corridors that pulsed with alien life. The mixed team of humans and aliens moved with a coordination that would have been unthinkable just months ago. As they neared the central chamber, a psychic assault battered their minds. The Harvesters spoke directly into their thoughts. Why do you resist? This is your purpose, to fight, to prove your worth. Lina gritted her teeth, pushing through the mental onslaught. Our worth isn't measured by your twisted games, she growled. We fight because we choose to, not because you tell us to. They burst into the central chamber, a vast, cathedral-like space, dominated by a pulsing, crystalline structure. This was the node, the key to the Harvester's control. As the team fought off waves of drone-like defenders, Lena and Zixera worked to plant the explosive charges that would destroy the node. But with each passing second, the psychic pressure grew stronger. Lena saw her teammates faltering, doubting. The Harvester's voice boomed. "You cannot win. Surrender and take your place in the cosmic order." In that moment, Lena understood. The Harvesters didn't just cull civilizations, they absorbed them, twisted them to their purpose. This was humanity's test, not just of strength, but of will. With a final surge of effort, Lena slammed the detonator. The crystalline node shattered, and a psychic shockwave rippled through the ship. As klaxons blared and the vast ship began to tear itself apart, Lena's team fought their way back to their vessel. They launched into the chaotic space battle, watching as the Harvester ships began to falter and fall into disarray. Hours later, as the last Harvester ship retreated from the solar system, Lena stood on the observation deck of an orbiting station, watching the Earth slowly spin below. Battered but unbroken, a transmission came through, the Galactic Council, calling for the architects of the victory. As Lena prepared to once again address the assembled species of the galaxy, she felt a profound sense of change. Humanity had been forged in conflict, yes, but we had learned to channel that strength into protection, into unity. We had taught a peaceful galaxy how to defend itself, and in doing so, found our place among the stars. As she looked out at the stars, Lena knew that this victory was just the beginning. The galaxy was forever changed, and humanity would help shape its new course. Together, we would face whatever challenges the cosmos had in store, not as conquerors, but as guardians of a hard-won peace, a new era of cooperation. The aftermath of the battle for Earth marked a turning point in galactic history. As the dust settled, and the immediate threat of the Harvesters receded, the various species of the Galactic Council found themselves in uncharted territory. For the first time in millennia, they had faced true existential danger and survived, thanks in large part to humanity's intervention. Lena Rodriguez, now hailed as a hero across countless worlds, stood before the Galactic Council once again. But this time, the chamber wasn't filled with tension or fear. There was a new energy, a mix of relief, gratitude, and cautious optimism. "Fellow sentients," Lena began, her voice carrying across the vast chamber. "We have won a great victory, but our work is far from over. The Harvesters may be defeated for now, but they've shown us how vulnerable we were in our complacency. It's time we forge a new path, one that balances the peace we cherish with the strength to defend it." High Counselor Vexalia nodded solemnly. "You speak wisdom, Ambassador Rodriguez. Humanity has proven itself not just as warriors, but as teachers and protectors. What do you propose?" Lena took a deep breath. This was the moment she had been preparing for. "I propose the formation of a galactic defense force. Not an army of conquest, but a coalition dedicated to protecting all sentient life in our galaxy. Human military experience combined with the diverse skills and technologies of all our species." The proposal sparked intense debate. Some counselors worried about the militarization of their peaceful society, while others saw the necessity after their brush with extinction. In the end, a compromise was reached. The Galactic Defense Force would be established, but with strict oversight and a mandate focused on protection rather than aggression. As the details were hammered out, Lena found herself working closely with representatives from across the galaxy. Zixera, the once timid Zarkonian scientist, had become a staunch advocate for cooperation between species. "It's remarkable," Zixera mused during a late-night strategy session. "Months ago, the idea of weapons terrified me. Now, I see them as tools, no different from a scanner or a medical device. It's all in how we choose to use them." Lena smiled, feeling a sense of pride in how far her alien friend had come. That's the perspective we need to spread. Strength isn't about domination. It's about having the means to protect what matters. As the Galactic Defense Force took shape, Earth became a hub of interstellar activity. Alien diplomats and scientists flocked to humanity's homeworld, eager to learn not just about warfare, but about the complex social and psychological factors that had shaped human history. Universities across Earth began offering courses in galactic anthropology, exploring the cultures and histories of various alien species. In return, human students ventured to alien worlds, learning technologies and philosophies beyond anything they had imagined. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. As humanity's influence grew, so did concerns about our potential to dominate. Some species, particularly those with long memories, worried that humans might become the very thing we had helped defeat. Addressing these concerns became Lena's primary focus. She worked tirelessly to demonstrate that humanity's goal wasn't control, but cooperation. "We've spent our history divided," she often said in speeches across the galaxy. "Now that we've found our place among the stars, we have no desire to rule, only to belong, to contribute, to grow alongside you all." 5 years after the battle for Earth, the Galactic Defense Force faced its first crew test. A species from outside the known galaxy, drawn by the echoes of the conflict with the Harvesters, arrived at the borders of Council space. Their intentions were unclear, but their power was evident. As tensions mounted, it was the GDF that took the lead, not in aggression, but in diplomacy backed by strength. Lena, now serving as the force's chief diplomat, made first contact. To everyone's surprise, the newcomers weren't invaders, but refugees fleeing a catastrophe in their home galaxy. The encounter became a shining example of the new galactic order. The GDF's ships stood ready to defend if needed, but it was words, compassion, and a willingness to help that won the day. As news of the peaceful resolution spread, Lena felt a sense of profound satisfaction. This was what humanity had been working towards, not just the ability to fight, but the wisdom to know when not to. 10 years to the day after first contact, Lena stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, a massive space habitat at the heart of Council space. Below her, representatives from hundreds of species mingled at a grand celebration. Admiral Chen, now silver-haired but still standing tall, joined her at the window. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" he asked, gesturing at the diverse crowd below. Lena shook her head, smiling. "Never in my wildest dreams. We came so close to being seen as the galaxy's barbarians. Instead, we became its protectors," Chen finished. "And in doing so, found a balance we never had on Earth alone." As they watched, a group of young aliens, including humans, Zarkonians, and a dozen other species, burst into laughter at some shared joke. They moved with the easy camaraderie of lifelong friends, the divisions of species meaning little to this new generation. Lena felt a lump in her throat. This was the future they had fought for. Not a humanity that conquered the stars, but one that had found its place among them. We had taught the galaxy about strength and protection, yes, but we had learned even more in return. The true power of unity, of diverse perspectives coming together to face any challenge. As the celebration continued below, Lena's thoughts turned to the vastness of space beyond. The Harvesters were still out there, as were countless other unknown threats and wonders. But she felt no fear. Whatever the cosmos had in store, she knew that humanity, and the galactic community we now called family, would face it together. The love of guns that had once marked us as barbarians had become the spark that forged a more resilient civilization. Not through conquest, but through the simple, powerful choice to stand up and protect those who could not protect themselves. As the first stars became visible against the darkening sky, Lena raised her glass in a silent toast. To the future, to the vast and endless frontier that awaited, and to the indomitable spirit of life itself, human and alien alike, that would rise to meet whatever challenges lay ahead. The story of humanity among the stars was just beginning. And oh, what a story it promised to be.